A few years ago, I was hanging out with a group of friends and we decided we were going to meet up with a group of girls after school. And we were going to go walk to the local touch fields and play touch. And this group of girls was like not the most popular, but one of a very popular group. They're all quite attractive and some of them were really nice as well. And as we were walking there, one of the girls, we'll say her name was Lily, came over and started talking to me. And at this time, I was being very mysterious. So I wasn't really talking to people that much so that they would like me more, and also just because I didn't know how to talk to them. And what this meant was when this girl came over and talked to me, I was kind of just not really participating, just saying short, quick answers, asking some questions back, but just keeping it cool, you know? And over time though, she kept talking and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna open up. And I opened up a little bit and eventually I just started yapping and I was just talking and we talked the entire way to the touch fields. A couple of days later, I saw those girls again, plus a couple others who were in their group in a class, like a school class. And I noticed that the girls who were talking to me at that touch thing were a lot more receptive, happy to see me and talk to me more than the girls who I hadn't gotten familiar with at that event. And things were looking promising, but stupidly, I decided I was going to go back to being mysterious. So I stopped talking to all those girls so that they would think I was cool and, you know, they wouldn't find out I'm actually a weirdo. And as a result, basically all those girls drifted away from me. We didn't really talk as much after that. And me trying to be mysterious basically meant I made a lot less friends than I should have in high school and talked to a lot less girls. But what was actually going on there? Let's deconstruct it. This graph represents how much people like you based on how much information you give them. So if right down at this end, they don't even know your last name, they barely know anything about you. Down this end, they know what you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They know like everything about you. And this is basically the realm of possibility. So when people don't know much information about you, they can't like you a lot, but they also can't dislike you a lot. The more information you provide, the more room there is for people to really like you and get really close to you, but also people might really dislike you. And this seems kind of like intuitive. The idea behind being mysterious is you're right at this end. So you provide like no information about yourself. And so you're kind of this mystery guy. And what that means is you don't have any enemies, because it's not possible for people to really dislike you when they know nothing about you, but also it's not possible for people to really like you. So mysterious people are here. But to get people to really like you, you have to be above this dotted line, which is the minimum requirement to build a meaningful connection. And that means you have to start sharing a certain amount of information. And the more you share, the better. To like marry someone, for example, you need to be right down this end. To be a lifelong friend, right down this end. To be just good friends, you need to provide a lot of information still. And this is where being mysterious really doesn't work. So of course, when I was talking to these girls, I was right down here. And when Lily started talking to me, I started to move this way and she happened to like me. So it could have gone either way. She could have disliked me more, but she happened to like me. So based on this graph and how it actually like turns out in the real world with the story I told you, we know that you should be sharing as much information as possible to increase the chance of people liking you. And yes, you'll get some people who really dislike you, but you have to be sharing this amount of information so that you can form meaningful connections. Because that's the point, right? Like we can get away from people who dislike us, but we need some people who actually really like us. So the way to be the right kind of mysterious is to just share as much information as possible. Now, there are some situations where you shouldn't do that, and I'll get into that. But basically what this means is talking to people and actually sharing the weird things about yourself, you know, everything, all parts of yourself, not just the things you think will make you look cool. And then on the other hand, you also have to initiate conversations with people to begin with, because people learning about you does not just come from having good conversations, it also comes from you actually having lots of conversations. Because if you're just talking to like one person, only one person is going to get all this info. You actually want to maximize the number of people who are getting a lot of info. Now, the exceptions to this is when you're stuck with people. So like, you know, at school, you've got a certain degree of freedom. You can kind of change groups freely as you like. It's pretty good. Out in like, once you graduate school, you can hang out with whoever you want. There's no restrictions, pretty much. You can even move to another country. In like a workplace, for example, it's very limited. You might only have like 5 people and you can't move. You have to get along with them. And in these cases, you wouldn't share a lot of information. Basically, you wouldn't share the things that you don't think they will approve of. So you're basically a lot more risk averse and you keep it kind of down this end. We all have certain things where we're just like, if I tell people this, they are all going to dislike me. I'm just going to be stuck down here. And my advice for this would just be, if you like someone, they're going to probably like you. So you can kind of share more around the people you like because there's a better chance that they're going to be up this end. Another thing to keep in mind when doing this is that you're not just yapping about yourself. Like you're not just sharing, info dumping, telling everyone what you ate for breakfast, everything. You're sharing interesting stuff that will provide value to the conversation. And on top of that, you have to listen as well. Because when you just talk and don't listen, the other person knows that you're not interested in them. And that means that they're not going to talk as much because they're like, well, what's the point of like actually telling him stuff because this guy just doesn't even care. So they're going to switch off and then the conversation is not going to work. So in order to provide information to people, you have to actually listen to them as well. So that's what you've got to do to become less mysterious and get into this zone where people really like you and you form meaningful connections. But what can you actually, like practical tips you can do? What you can do right now is start posting more Instagram stories. This is a great thing to do because it's like low pressure, you're just sitting at home. You probably are doing some interesting stuff that you could post about, but you're trying to be mysterious and so you're not sharing it. Posting a little bit more, maybe even posting today, might help some people get to know a little bit more about you and push down towards this end. Another thing to do is to start talking to more people. So if you're like sitting by yourself at lunch or something, this is a very scary one and a very hard thing to do. This will take time, but trying and talking to more people is obviously the only way you can increase the number of people who know a lot about you. And as for actually sharing more information to each person you're talking to, you don't need to force this. Like you don't need to go up to someone and just start deliberately yapping and then telling them stories straight out of the gate. You just have to remove the barriers of like thinking you have to be mysterious, and then the information will just flow out naturally. What will happen if you start doing this so you get more people knowing more stuff about you is you'll get down and you'll get closer to this end. And that will mean some people will really dislike you. Some people will find you neutral, just the same as when you're mysterious. And some people will like you. Some people will love you. And this is obviously the whole point of like socializing, is to get people to love us. It doesn't matter if a couple people dislike us, we can just get out of their lives, right? We need people to love us, and so we have to share more. So I hope I have convinced you that you need to stop being mysterious. But what if you are kind of like nervous to go and talk to more people and share more? Well, that is where you need to increase your confidence. Watch this video to become a lot more confident.